Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, December 5th, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, today we celebrate two anniversaries, or two feasts. The first takes us to Rome. The Abbot Orsini writes, in the year 1584, the first congregation of Our Lady was established at the Jesuits' College in Rome, whence is derived their custom of establishing it in all their houses. So what is this congregation of Our Lady? Well, this is the sodality of Our Lady, right? The sodality of the Blessed Virgin Mary. It was actually founded in 1563 by a Belgian Jesuit, right? Father John Lenny, at the Roman College in Rome, right? And it's interesting because this group was established for young schoolboys. And the papal bull Superna Disposizione opened it to adults under the authority of the Superior General of the Society of Jesus. So the head of the Jesuits is the one who's in charge kind of these sodalities, right? A Jesuit historian tells us that, the group was originally made up especially of younger boys from the school, from the college. And they would make the agreement to go to daily mass, go to weekly confession, and monthly communion, as well as to have half an hour of meditation each day and do other pious exercises, right? So once formed into this sodality of Our Lady, they would even do apostolic work in the city, right? And since the time of its beginnings in 1563, 22 sodalists have become popes, right? And again, after Father Lenoux's death in 1584, it was Pope Gregory VIII who actually canonically established it in the Roman College. And thereon, there's in 1773, when Pope Clement XIV suppressed the Society of Jesus, he separated the sodalities from their jurisdiction, right? And from that time on, it's been Catholic bishops who have established sodalities throughout the world. Well, speaking of throughout the world, now we're going to cross the ocean and head to Guatemala City in Guatemala, where they celebrate the Immaculate Conception, La Inmaculada Concepción. You might ask, well, why today? Well, okay. In 1600, Fray Antonio Tineo traveled to Spain to ask King Felipe for supplies for the Franciscan churches in Guatemala. So for the Church of San Francisco, St. Francis in Guatemala City, Father Tineo brought back a new statue of the Immaculate Conception. It came from Queen Margarita's private chapel, right? And so, often called La Virgen de los Reyes, Our Lady of the Kings, this beloved image has been, it has suffered the excesses of devotion with amazing grace, as our commentator says. It's damaged by fireworks and the other hazards of popular enthusiasm, so much so that in its 400 years, the body has had 9 different heads. So you might say, well, why do we celebrate it December 5th? Well, it was canonically crowned on December 5th, 1954, in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. And an annual prayer procession takes place with the statue on December 8th each year. For today's reading from The Admirable Heart of Mary by St. John Eudes, we conclude this chapter entitled Mary's Heart, the Center of the Earth, pulling from different sources of Scripture, as well as from the writings of the fathers and doctors of the Church. Today, we conclude as he meditates on these words of Saint Bernard that we heard yesterday. These words of Saint Bernard not only may be applied to the heart of the Mother of God, but are actually more applicable to her heart than to her person. The cause being nobler than its effects, her heart is so full of humility is, as we shall see, the cause and the source of all virtues which adorn Our Lady, and render her worthy to be the object, the refuge, and, as it were, the center of every creature, past, present, and to come. Hence I conclude that her marvelous heart is indeed the midst and the center of the world of the new man. Secondly, I say that the heart of Mary is the center of this new world, meaning the world of divine love and holy charity, a world of tenderness and election, having charity as its only law, because all holy love and divine charity, contained in the hearts of angels and men, who love God for himself and their neighbor for the love of God, are found united in the heart of the Mother of Fair Love as in their center. Mary's heart is like a beautiful mirror, large enough to reflect all the sun's rays focused on its polished surface. Thirdly, you will remember that the most holy and pure Virgin ravished and attracted to herself the adorable heart of the Eternal Father, his beloved Son, and that he became the heart of her heart. Jesus is, therefore, the true heart of Mary. Is not this amiable Jesus the love, the delight, the center and the joy of heaven and earth? Is it not certain, therefore, that the true heart of Mary, namely Jesus, is the center of all the hearts of angels and men? They must ever be turned towards it, gaze upon it unceasingly, and make it the object of their aspirations and desires. It is the seat of their perfect repose and of their supreme felicity. Out of it there is only trouble, fear, anxiety, death, and hell. O Jesus, true heart of Mary, take possession of our hearts, and draw them nigh to thee. Inspire them to love, desire, seek, and relish only you. May they ever long for you. May they always seek their rest and happiness in you. May they remain in you forever and be consumed in the ardent furnace of your divine heart, so as to be transformed eternally in you. Today's Marian meditation, taken from the book by Father Ildefonso Villar, is Meditation 14, and this too is entitled The Name of Mary. He gives a brief introduction and then talks about the beauty of Mary's name. That this holy name may not be indifferent to us, but rather induce us to a deeper knowledge and to a more fervent invocation of it, it is imperative that we should meditate on its meaning. As about 300 different interpretations have been given, it is rather difficult to ascertain its true meaning. But it is providential that God should have left it open to so many interpretations, all of them so good and meaningful, and thus make us understand that all excellences and perfections are contained in our Blessed Lady. The most probable of these interpretations are the following. First, beautiful, or rather, the beautiful par excellence, as though to mean that she is beauty itself. And there is no other way to see her. As beautiful as the moon, sings the Church. Indeed, just as in the darkness of night, when everything is deprived of beauty, the placid and serene light of the moon suddenly shines, greater than the stars. So does Mary, with her shining beauty, dispel darkness and share her light with all who would partake of it. She is also called tota pulchra, all beautiful. All, tota. In Mary there is nothing that is not extremely beautiful. In her there is nothing unsightly. Body, soul, eyes, senses, heart, everything. In her there is nothing unsightly, nothing stained, nothing to mar her beauty. Give a thought to the things that the world calls beautiful, and you will be convinced that the world has no idea of what real beauty is. The world gives the name of beauty only to corporeal beauty, which, oftener than not, is artificial and merely outward, external. The world is satisfied with that beauty because it knows no other. Instead, Mary is always and at every moment most beautiful, tota pulchra. How aptly, then, the name of Mary applies to her as thus interpreted.
Hello, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to our Marian podcast. In the spirit of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, we say to you that there is no greater delight than to spread the devotion of Our Lady. We hope you share these sentiments and encourage you greatly to share with a loved one. Know that you are always in our prayers, and we ask that you keep us in yours. God bless.